Today we're covering 4.2.1 Data Asset Management for AP Cybersecurity and CompTIA Security plus SY0-701. And this topic is all about managing the entire lifecycle of assets in a secure and controlled way. Data asset management focuses on the security implications of proper hardware, software, and data asset management. In Domain 4.2, you are expected to understand how assets are acquired, assigned, tracked, and eventually disposed of while maintaining security and compliance. If an organization cannot manage its assets, it cannot protect its data, and that is a guaranteed exam red flag. The acquisition or procurement process is the process of acquiring assets, goods, or services. It involves identifying needs, selecting vendors, negotiating contracts, and obtaining the necessary approvals for purchasing. In real-world security, this ensures assets meet organizational requirements and compliance standards before they are introduced into the environment. On the exam, this appears when a scenario describes identifying business needs and selecting vendors to purchase hardware or software. The correct concept is the acquisition or procurement process, because secure asset management starts before the asset even enters the network. Assignment and accounting focus on assigning assets to specific individuals or departments and maintaining accurate records of ownership and usage, while accounting tracks financial aspects such as depreciation, value, and cost allocation. In real-world environments, this ensures accountability and proper financial oversight. A typical CompTIA question might describe tracking which employee has a specific laptop or which department is responsible for a server. That is assignment. If the scenario mentions tracking asset value or depreciation, that relates to accounting. Clear records reduce confusion and support both operational and security controls. Ownership in asset management means clearly establishing and documenting ownership of assets within an organization. Ownership includes responsibilities for maintenance, security, and adherence to policies. In a scenario where a system lacks updates because no one is responsible for it, the correct concept is ownership. Ownership matters because someone must be accountable for maintaining security controls, applying patches, and ensuring compliance with policies. Classification involves categorizing assets based on their importance, sensitivity, or criticality. Classification helps apply appropriate security measures and controls based on how critical or sensitive the asset is. For example, a database containing confidential customer information would be classified differently than a public website. On the exam, if a scenario describes applying stronger controls to sensitive data, the correct concept is classification. Not all assets require the same level of protection, and classification helps prioritize security efforts. Monitoring and asset tracking refer to the continuous observation and tracking of the status, location, and usage of assets. Monitoring ensures assets are used appropriately and that issues are identified promptly. In a typical Security Plus scenario, if a company needs to know where devices are located and whether they are active or compromised, the correct concept is monitoring or asset tracking. This supports security by detecting unauthorized movement, misuse, or abnormal behavior. Inventory and enumeration are closely related concepts within asset tracking. An inventory is a comprehensive list or database of all assets within an organization, including details such as asset name, type, location, and current status. Enumeration entails identifying and listing all assets systematically and is often part of the initial phase of asset management to create a complete inventory. On the exam, if a question describes identifying and listing every device on the network to build a complete asset list, the correct concept is enumeration. If it refers to maintaining that organized list with details, that is inventory. Disposal and decommissioning refer to the process of retiring or removing assets that are no longer needed or have reached the end of their useful life. Proper disposal methods must consider environmental regulations and data security concerns. In a scenario where outdated hardware is being removed from service, the correct concept is decommissioning. Secure disposal prevents data leakage and ensures compliance with legal and regulatory requirements. Sanitization is the process of removing sensitive or confidential data from an asset before disposal or repurposing. Sanitization prevents unauthorized access to sensitive information. On the exam, if a company is repurposing old hard drives and needs to remove all confidential data first, the correct concept is sanitization. This step ensures that no recoverable data remains on the asset. Destruction means physically or electronically rendering an asset unusable or irreparable. Destruction is often employed for data storage devices or physical assets to ensure that no data can be recovered. In a scenario where a company physically shreds hard drives to prevent data recovery, the correct concept is destruction. This is used when complete elimination of data access is required. Certification involves obtaining official confirmation that an asset has been properly disposed of, sanitized, or decommissioned. Certification may be required for compliance purposes. On the exam, if a scenario describes obtaining documentation that confirms secure disposal for audit or regulatory requirements, the correct concept is certification. Certification provides proof that proper procedures were followed. Data retention refers to establishing policies and procedures for retaining data for a specific period. Data retention ensures compliance with legal and regulatory requirements while managing storage resources effectively. In a scenario where an organization must keep records for a legally mandated number of years, the correct concept is data retention. Retaining data too long increases risk, and deleting it too early can violate regulations, so retention policies balance security and compliance. The key cybersecurity takeaway is that data asset management secures the entire lifecycle of assets from acquisition and assignment to monitoring and secure disposal through sanitization, destruction, certification, and data retention. If this helped you understand today's topic, consider liking and subscribing for more cybersecurity lessons like this.